terrible experience.
Apologize to our live listeners.
I apologize to all of you that were waiting for us at 5 o'clock. But here we are. It's the Minnesota Pubcast. As always, I've got Molly Burke on my right. And today we're joined by a special guest. We've got Jim Souhan with us tonight. Jim, how you doing?
Special how? How do you mean special? That's not necessarily a compliment.
It's special in that you have more Twitter and Facebook followers than us, so you are special.
Wow, that's all it
because
takes.
Because that's what we do.
Maybe I qualify.
Well, our whole business model is on social media, so we're piggybacking on you a little bit here.
Well, good luck with that.
Well, we were here first. We were technically here first.
That's true.
But you're one of the new ones. You're one of the new people to join the Alive and Social Network. You've got your own show, Souhan Unfiltered. SouhanUnfiltered.com, right, to find
yes, sir.
You can always find everything at Alive and Social. That's all of our shows are on there. But we wanted to bring you on, too, because, I've known you for years. We worked together at KSTP, and I know that you're getting into this. And I even feel like you got into radio a bit, at least in the way, once you got past doing the sports talk stuff, that you wanted to branch out a little bit, and you have more interest than just sports. I know you write about that on, that's your full-time job, but you're into more than just that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, in fact, it's funny. I had Gary Lewis from the Jayhawks on my show last night, and we talked about a lot of different things, and one of the things we concluded was that there are times he cannot wait to get away from music, and there are times I cannot wait to get away from sports.
and I can understand that. Working at a right-wing radio talk station, for most of those years too, I couldn't wait to not talk politics.
Yeah.
It's all the same. When you're doing it every day, it's nice to get a break.
Absolutely.
And that's what. And that's you and I used to do that. When you took over after Tommy was dismissed, you and I we talked about news. We talked about it all. So we thought we could just basically do what we do, and what we do is we talk pub talk. So we talk about whatever you would talk about at the bar, news. We do mix in sports, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. So I thought you would fit in just fine. Whether or not you're going to look at the things the same way or have the same opinions, that's not really what you're here for. Obviously, we want to get a little something different out of you. And I already saw your tweeting about the fact that you haven't seen any of the movies that we're probably going to talk about that are coming out for the Golden Globes, that are nominated for
I've
Golden
seen
Globes.
some trailers.
I think you can judge a lot by a trailer.
Yeah, let's go with that.
What do we want to start with first? I have to note, because we're out of Gares, and I didn't mention it last night, I came down for live band karaoke, or karaoke, however you want to put it, last week. Have you been in here for that yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've performed.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. One
yes.
of the first nights. Yeah. So that is, I thought it was a cool idea when I first heard about it, and we had the guy that puts it on our show too, and I just went, I'll get to it. That'll be fun. I'm coming back pretty much every Friday from now on.
It's a blast.
It's that much fun. And to get up there, I've never been in a band. I've never done any of that stuff. You've at least been on stage and done that kind of thing. And I've been on stage doing talk radio, but never that. And so to get up and to actually have a monitor coming back at you where you heard your own voice and I heard myself singing, maybe the most frightening moment in my entire life. It was awful. It was awful.
Good?
Oh, it was fucking terrible. I was trying to do Green Day, so I was obviously not trying to, I'm not going to do a Sinatra or try to do something where you really got to have the pipe. So I figured Green Day, it's about as easy as it gets. No. I still can't do Billy Joe Armstrong either. No, not at all.
Well, really, the first time I ever played live under any circumstances was here with, Height and Mishke. We put that band, basically Height and I put a band together to play during a break when Mishke was doing one of his shows here over the shanty, and I've done TV, radio, newspaper stuff forever, and that was very unnerving. It's still unnerving to do something for the first time in front of people.
Yeah, but it's a good thing, right?
It's great.
It's one of those. It's an overcome a fear kind of thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah. You feel empowered almost after you do it. And I would imagine that with the band part,
or
too.
embarrassed, depending on the performance.
I was embarrassed, but yet still empowered. I went up there, I took hold of that mic, and I gave it my all. It wasn't good, but it still was my all, so I was proud of myself.
Well, the cool thing is the band's really talented. They can really play, which it wouldn't be worth doing if they weren't.
No, and that's what's cool, too. And you got the guitar player with the wireless connection, so he's walking through the crowd playing his guitar.
And have you noticed,
I love that.
We haven't decided whether he has OCD or whether he's just like a master marketer, but he has a vacuum cleaner with the Eddie Van Halen guitar stripes on it, and between sets he will actually vacuum the stage.
Seriously?
Yes, and we don't know what,
really
we were going to tease him, and we thought, well, maybe that's a condition. Maybe we shouldn't tease him.
You've never seen anybody that, at least I've never seen anybody that does a stage type of performance, though, where they can't wait to get off the stage. He's constant. He can't wait to run around the crowd.
I'll tell you what, as
interact.
someone, I have played a handful of times with my band and other bands live, and not being tied by a cord to an amp, I look forward to that day. I need to get that technology because I can't tell you how many times it restricts your movement, or you trip over the cord, or you feel like you can't turn left because the cord's there. I want to get that thing.
Absolutely. I was shocked. And again, I remember when we first talked about it, I was going, a karaoke band, however you want to go. If anybody who go into Brown College for radio broadcasting was taught karaoke.
Why?
Dubay says it too. I don't know.
Oh,
but I was expecting them to be so.
Oh, they're good.
So with them being as good as they are, it makes the whole experience that much better.
Absolutely.
So Friday nights people get down here, and then the other thing I want to mention again, because we're at O'Gara's, Saturday is the Santa Pub Crawl, which is basically there's Grand Old Day and there's Santa Pub Crawl. Those are my two holidays. Like when it really, I love St. Paul and I love drinking, so those two things, they go hand in hand. And Santa Pub Crawl is coming up this Saturday. We usually started out here at O'Gara's. That's why I mentioned it. O'Gara's is on the route, and so is Burger Mo's, our other sponsor. So figured a little cross promotion there couldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to talk to Jim about?
Oh my gosh.
Other than himself.
Well, I tell you what, we can talk about Golden Globes, and
Okay.
I can sit here and tell you that I haven't seen that movie, I've actually become, the less I go to movies, and I go to movies less and less every year, the more I appreciate really good serial TV. So I've become kind of a TV snob, and with movies, I'll see the big popular movie if I feel like it should be seen on a large screen. Otherwise, I'll watch it on my iPad on a trip, 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't make any effort to keep up with movies. I'll just watch it whenever's convenient for me. TV shows, if I get hooked, I get really hooked.
And I'm the
Yeah.
same way, and
Yeah.
I think, Molly, you are too,
Yep.
because I guarantee most of the movies that have been nominated this year we haven't seen either. But a bunch of them I really am looking forward to, and I'm actually shocked that I haven't seen a few of them.
Like How to Tame Your Dragon 2.
That's one of them that's right up there. But I'm with you too. That it's really about television right now, and that's another thing we wanted to get into tonight is the fact that Fargo. Did you watch Fargo?
That's great.
And they came out with their new cast today.
Oh, I haven't seen the cast.
So it doesn't even necessarily matter who the cast is. The point of me bringing it up is that I love this idea of these series that are starting anew every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it to me it's so against everything that you would think should work. I mean, the whole reason that so many shows last is the cast. And if you can do it with such great writing, and then because of the great writing, you bring in great cast members year to year to year, I think that is so awesome. And that you have that. You have True Detective. I stopped watching American Horror Story like 2 years in, but I heard they're doing it too.
Well, no, it's the same cast, but it's a different location and kind of plot line.
Okay,
So like
okay.
the first year was in a house, the second year was in an asylum, and then it was witches, and now it's in a carnival, which sounds kind of cool, but I haven't watched it.
Okay.
But you were at peace with the fact that you're never going to see Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey on True Detective again?
I'm not at peace with it.
Because that's the whole point. You have to learn to like let go of these like characters that you can only get attached to them for one season, no matter how good they are.
No, and I think that's what's cool about this style though, is that it makes the character and it makes the actor step it up. Like we got one season, let's crush this. There's no, well, we can have I talked about it last night. Sons of Anarchy, the 5th and 6th season to me sucked. Like it just fell off. So, but with this, you're not going to get that because every time each season has to be as good as the last, or it won't work because who's going to tune in for new characters if they didn't even like the story to begin with? So you have to keep this. It has to be. I think you actually maybe with both of these have to get better, which is even harder.
Sure, I guess. I mean, okay, so this year on Fargo, did you guys watch Fargo last time?
I did.
Yes.
And I loved the movie. In fact, I moved to Minnesota, maybe a couple of years before Fargo actually came out, the movie. And, I came from Dallas. I was an Air Force brat. I moved all over the country. I ended up working in Dallas. I never came to Minnesota until I interviewed for a job here. And by the way, I came here for a job interview in February from Dallas. I thought a sport coat would be fine. So I'm standing outside. I'm standing outside on a street corner in Minneapolis, and I almost died before my first interview. I almost froze to death before I got in my boss's car to go. So, I move up here, and we go see Fargo. I think it was at like the Burnsville Mall Theater. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, and we are just cracking up. We are cracking up, especially at the female. Frances McDormand, right? I almost blanked on her name. She's incredible.
She's amazing.
Yeah, so we're sitting there and we're just laughing at the accents, laughing at all the eccentricities that we have come to know to be common to Minnesotans. the lights come on at the end of the movie, and it was like a daytime show, like 30, 40 people in the theater. We stand up to go, and we're still laughing, and this is what we hear around the theater. Oh, I don't know why they make them talk like that. Actually, we don't talk like Minnesotans don't. No, Marge, we don't talk like that.
Is it true?
Not for everybody, dear. Not for present company, just everybody else in the state.
Well, but in our defense, when you can hear an accent, then it's beyond yours.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I have an editor.
I know
one of my favorite editors at the Star Tribune is just he could be a character in Fargo. If he had a mean streak, he could be a character in Fargo. And I will be, I used to work in the office a lot more than I do now, and I'd be sitting across from him, and he'd pick up the phone and swear to God it was, "Oh yeah, oh yeah," and I was like, "Dennis, do you know what you're doing?" No.
So he wasn't even like embellishing it. He wasn't
embellishing, nor was he conscious of it.
Has he ever left Minnesota?
No.
Okay, so he's been here forever.
Yes.
I lost mine when I went to Iowa a little bit because Iowa was like totally flat. They speak just like this nice, nondescript accent.
They're the Midwestern accent that the news is based on.
Totally. And I would say things like, "Could I have a bag?" And they'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "A bag?" And they're like, "I don't know what that is." I'm like, "A bag." And they're like, "You mean a sack?" And I was like, "A what?" Or a bag. A bag. I'm like, "No, a bag."
Another big difference is pop.
Yeah, pop and soda.
Pop and soda. So it's soda almost everywhere else.
Yeah, I was behind a buddy in Florida that asked for a pop for, in whatever line it was, and the gal a little 16-year-old gal looked up to him like, "What? I have no idea." Just
what are you
blank.
talking about?
Just no idea what that is. Oh, soda. Oh, got it. Boom. It was amazing.
Okay, so what persuaded you then? If you showed up in a sport coat in the middle of February, what persuaded you to stay here?
Let me channel my favorite athletes. Money. No, seriously, I was covering the Dallas Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News, and I'd been promoted from covering high school sports. In high school, people who cover high school sports do not make much money. I was not making much money. My boss down there actually told other people in the office, "I don't have to give him a raise. Nobody knows who he is. He hasn't covered pro sports yet. He doesn't have a reputation. He can't go anyplace else." And then I knew somebody up here who, like, the next week recommended me for the Vikings beat job. I came up here, interviewed, and it was, wasn't a lot of money, but compared to what I had been making, it was a lot of money, and I said, I can't turn that down.
Well, and down there, though, high school it actually is covered, though, right? I mean, that's some real coverage, because especially the football, so.
Yes.
But still no pay? Or little?
No, you didn't get paid much as a high school. In fact, my first job at a major paper, I made $6 an hour with no benefits.
Oh my God!
At a major paper.
As a Fort Worth Star Telegram, and then I think when I went to the Dallas Morning News, it was $10 an hour with no benefits. So when I started getting a sense that you could actually make a living in the business, I went for it. The other thing is, I came up here thinking that this was a stepping stone job. I'd only be here 2 or 3 years. But back then, the newspaper industry was so mobile. If you were any good at all, you were going to get a job offer in the next half year someplace.
What year are we talking about?
This is 1990.
Yeah, well, the economy in general was booming. Yeah.
And so, you just didn't worry about the future. You didn't worry about, you just knew you were getting another job offer. I came here and, then I put my kids in the schools and, while I didn't like the winter, I did like a lot of things about living here. The paper treated me well. And I've sent out one resume in the last 24 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's nice.
Well,
that's convenient.
You know what? Actually, that dovetails. You're a perfect person to ask about what we talked about last night, and that was this branding of Minnesota. The Dayton boys, apparently, Dayton's sons, are trying to come up with a different way of branding Minnesota to take us maybe away from the Midwest and try to kind of. What they're calling it is like we are North, or they want to be called the North instead of Midwest, and it's a whole thing of separating us from.
So we want to brag about being cold.
Well, I think what they're trying to brag about is the fact that we actually do have a couple of major cities, or one major metropolitan area versus those other places that don't. Mm-hmm. And what we talked about last night was that I do think St. Paul, Minneapolis, there's no comparing them to basically any part of the 5-state area around us,
right?
And even outstate Minnesota. But what I said to her was, you go a block outside of the city limits, and you are in Iowa, and you are in North Dakota or South Dakota.
As someone who's lived a lot of places and traveled a lot, you go a little bit out of New York City, and you are in. It's bucolic.
Okay.
It really is.
Go outside. What I said.
You go just a little bit outside almost any major city, and you are in farmland. It's just the way it works. So I actually think if you want to brand Minnesota differently, you do focus on the fact that the Twin Cities have an incredible amount to offer. Again, I've lived a lot of different places. To have 4 major sports, to have a Big Ten university, to have theaters, to have a maybe not as great a music scene as it used to be, but still a fairly vibrant music scene, to have incredible venues. I mean, the XL Energy Center is one of the best venues in America. Target Field is one of the best ballparks in America. TCF Bank Stadium is it's not as big as a lot of the great ones, but it's a beautiful place. And I think the new Viking Stadium, we have an incredible amount to brag about here.
Well, and I think with the Gopher Stadium, I think that the size of that is what's good about it.
I agree.
You don't want a 100,000 seat stadium in Minneapolis. So.
Right. Well, and that's an interesting point, because when people still think about us, they still think about Fargo. I mean, that's really what the first thing that comes to mind. They'll say, well, what do you do there in Minneapolis? Isn't it really cold? And it's kind of hard to come back and be like, no, it's great. I swear, it's great. I swear. But I don't know. We'll see. The Fargo show maybe isn't helping us, even though we like it.
Well, you've never seen the show, right?
I have seen the show.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you had.
And I would like to mention that Kirsten Dunst, who I love, is going to be in this season, and she was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Drop Dead Gorgeous.
I haven't seen that one.
I've never seen that either.
It came out in the mid-'90s with Kirstie Alley and Denise Richards, and it's about beauty queens in a small town, Minnesota, and it is one of the best parodies you will ever see. It's incredible. So Kirsten Dunst will be essentially reprising her role as Amber Atkins.
Interesting.
How did
I never heard of that movie, nor did I know that it was made in Minnesota?
It's amazing. It takes place in Mount Rose, and it's a bunch of beauty queens. Yeah, it's great.
Huh. Yeah. The other guy, Jesse, I'm assuming Plemons. Yeah. Did you watch Breaking Bad, Jim?
Yes.
Imagine you. Okay, so he was the dopey. Here, I'll show you the picture if you can. The dopey, the hitman guy that they hired. And this guy, I think it'd be easy actually to say he's a bad actor, but he's actually a fantastic actor, because he was so good at just kind of being I just do what I'm told, or don't, and just I think that if they put him in any kind of a role like that again, he will nail it. And it will also be interesting to see if they give him a totally different kind of role. To see somebody who did that, we'll see how versatile he is, if he can actually play like a more serious, more built-up character type role.
When he was in Friday Night Lights too, which I have never seen, but people love Friday Night Lights.
And I've never seen that either. Are you a Friday Night Lights guy?
It's funny. I know the author, and I covered the season that became kind of the jumping off point, because I covered Dallas Carter High School, which ended up beating Odessa Permian, which is the place where it's based. So I knew the author. I read the book. I have not watched and I've been told the TV series is incredible. For some reason, I just, when I go to download a new show, it's always like second or third. It's never been number one for me. So
that was always
I need to get to it.
Yeah, that's a second tier show for some reason. Even though, as you said,
I've heard
great things. Nothing but great things.
Interesting. I gotta watch it too. I have friends that are just crazy about it. So it's because it's on regular TV. It's not on HBO, so I usually skip it.
I do give HBO a bump up no matter what.
I know, it always comes first. Well, let's talk about the Golden Globes if we're talking about TV and things like that. Nominations came out today. Best Drama and Best Comedy. Boyhood, Foxcatcher, Imitation Game. What is that? Selma? Oh, God. See, I don't even know what that is.
I haven't heard of that one.
The Theory of Everything. And then for comedy, it's Birdman, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Into the Woods, Pride, and St. Vincent.
How many of those 10 have you seen?
None.
And I already know Jim hasn't seen any.
I don't think I've seen any of them.
Oh, God.
All right. Now, I am embarrassed as hell to say I didn't see Boyhood. I can't believe I let that one go past.
Me too.
But I will watch it eventually. I'll watch it on my iPad eventually.
And it's not one where you need to be in the theater.
I don't think so.
I went to see Interstellar because I figured you got to see that in the theater. I mean, that's it's an epic picture. But this Boyhood, it's a story. It's all about the dialogue and the story. It's not about the visual as much.
And it's 3 hours long or something like that.
It is a long.
Fox,
if you take 12 years to film it, you get 3 hours.
Yes.
Like, I hate any movie over 2 hours, but if you take 12 years, I'll give you the extra hour. Foxcatcher, I keep hearing about that one still. And what's his name? The pretty boy? From
Channing Tatum?
Yes, Channing Tatum, apparently, the greatest role he's ever played. I didn't even know he could act, so that's interesting. And then The Imitation Game, that's the one that you've read the book, right? I
haven't read the book.
But isn't that the Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with him at all?
Oh, yeah. I love Sherlock.
Yeah, Sherlock.
It's amazing.
He's great in that.
Yes.
So I'm sad that I haven't seen that one either. And then the movie that I think is going to be the movie, and I can't wait to see, and it's getting like 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's considered one of the best movies of all time already, I believe, on Rotten Rotten Tomatoes, Birdman, with Michael Keaton. That everywhere that I keep hearing good things about that.
I know.
The only one I've seen on the entire list is the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is very good.
Was it the best yet?
Anderson's?
Wes Anderson.
No, it's not his best. No.
What's his best then?
Well, my opinion on him, actually, I'm not like one of these Wes Anderson dorks, like who's just obsessed with him. So I feel like the people that think that, like, my opinion is very different than the people who would consider themselves like geeks, a Wes Anderson's geek.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of the one with Ed Norton that was a couple years ago, the Boy Scout troop.
Oh yeah. Oh my god!
I cannot think of the name of that one, but actually that was one of my favorite movies of like
with
the last even like 5 years.
The little girl
and the little girl that sneak away, and it's,
oh god, I thought that was so annoying. I thought that was so annoying.
Other people that love Wes said they didn't like that one. I thought it was great, but I think I just loved Ed Norton in that. Ed Norton was so good in that. And he can take over a movie, I think, in that way. And then Gone Girl, who's not in those 10, but again, a movie I can't believe I didn't see because everything about it is something that I would think would be good. I mean,
almost went to see it the other day. Came really close.
That is the only one I have seen. Oh, that's not nominated for Best Picture, but it is nominated for David Fincher for Best Director.
Yes.
And it was a really amazing adaptation. So because of that, I understand why he's nominated. Was it my favorite Fincher movie? No.
Another 2-hour, 40-minute type flick, too?
Yes. Interstellar was almost 3. 2:45.
Yep.
We had Boyhood. We had Gone Girl. I mean, they were all long. I don't mind sitting through a long movie.
Well, Interstellar needed the time. I mean, I even said that first act, they skipped over a bunch of stuff. I mean, that movie, if it could have been 4 hours long if they had really done it as many other movies would have done the same story. So and I think you needed it, but I don't. I think would Gone Girl qualify too? Is it needed all those minutes, or could you? Because I watched so many movies that are 2 hours and 50 minutes, and you go, I could have cut 50 minutes from that, no problem.
The whole movie was really compelling and really dark, and it didn't feel long to me. I have an extremely good patience, though. I'm really good at sitting through long things. And Rosamund Pike, who plays Amy in it, was incredible. And so even if there's one person like that in a movie for me that I can kind of keeps me watching it, I really enjoy it. And she was insane, and thankfully she's nominated for Best Actress.
I think Interstellar, to make it a realistic experience, it should have been a 3-hour movie, and then you get transported back in time so you don't lose any time.
I felt like I was, actually, after that. I was so messed up by that movie.
I was totally messed up by that movie.
Well,
did you see it? You didn't see it?
Yeah, I did see it.
You did see it.
When he's behind the bookshelf, you're lost. I mean, in a good way, because you get it. Like, you understand what's happening, but it's so...
It's a leap.
It's a real
It is a real leap.
And everybody that's talked about it, and, if you haven't seen it, too bad. But, I mean, if that was what it was, if he was behind the books and he could tell her what he wanted to, why did it have to be so difficult? I mean, couldn't he have literally written something and put it through? I mean, to make it, obviously, to make the movie, it wouldn't have been as interesting that way. But he could have just said, "Don't go, just fucking don't go. Here it is." Like, it would have been so much easier. But then the movie would have been 5 minutes long. So we can understand why they didn't do that.
That was a big
Hard
movie.
to justify $150 million for a 20-minute movie.
It was, I don't know. That movie was a lot. Like I said, it tries to fit just about everything into one thing. And it's like, how many different, philosophical life things can we talk about here?
A lot of shit in that. A lot of science. You try to get a lot of science in there, and it was overwhelming.
Science and magic.
Some magic. Nightcrawler. That's a movie that I can't believe I haven't seen either. Jake Gyllenhaal. Probably.
Yeah, Jim, why haven't you seen that? You're a reporter.
Yeah, that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Anything? If the movie has something to do with the info business, with newspapers, or anything like that, does that turn you off to it immediately?
Probably yes, because as a writer, I hate cliches, and as a journalist, I really hate cliches about journalists. And most movies don't get it right.
What about The Wire?
It's almost like the reason I don't like many sports movies, because most sports movies don't get it quite right, and I see the flaws Which movie did you just mention?
No, The Wire. I feel like The Wire the way they hit the press was really cool, but I feel like they did that with every angle.
The Wire did everything right.
They did everything right.
All that.
And it's because David Simon was a cops reporter at the Baltimore Sun, so he had an unblinking view of everything that happened in that city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are there any sports movies that get it right?
Bull Durham nails it.
Really?
Yes, that's minor league baseball. That's minor league baseball, and it's what Major League Baseball is when you're not allowed to be around it.
So is it minor league baseball, like Saints baseball, or is it
No,
actual like AAA? Like,
it's more like AA, AAA,
Okay.
coming up through the ranks.
Interesting.
What about Moneyball?
Moneyball, very well done.
Okay.
Very well done. And I love Michael Lewis. The thing about Michael Lewis, the author of Moneyball, Moneyball might be my least favorite of his books because I really think he nails the financial world and the corruption and the well, I'll just leave it at the corruption. But in baseball, Lewis did what he does so well. He took an idea and he went crazy with it, which makes it a great book, which made it an interesting movie. And I think also takes the theories a little too far. He tries to make Billy Beane out to be too much of a genius.
Yeah.
And every
they
move
left out a couple of great pitchers.
Yeah, every
there's a
great
few things.
move had to, he over-dramatized it so effectively that in many ways it kind of it ends up twisting the truth a little bit, but still a very good movie, still very entertaining, still well done, and a very good book. It's just that I can kind of see where he's taking the truth and just running away with it a little bit.
Well, and that one, I took an ex-girlfriend to that, and she wasn't into sports. Her parents said it was really good, though. So, and they're not either. So I'm thinking, okay, I have hope here. And 20 minutes into that movie, I mean, she's just the evil glare.
Seriously?
Like, what am I doing in this thing? Oh, it was because I mean,
I like how you blame that on the movie.
oh, it's absolutely the movie's fault.
He
But no,
always
it's so
does.
geeky. I mean, that movie is so wonky.
It is wonky.
and it's in a good way. I was loving it. I love baseball and the numbers, and that was great. And anyone who's not. If you're not even remotely a baseball fan, I don't think you can actually enjoy that movie.
No, you have to kind of get what the sport is about, and you have to get that Billy Beane was something of a revolutionary.
Yeah, that he's doing something that no one else had done. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh, that's
Although,
interesting.
of course, I grew up covering the Baltimore Orioles, or not covering, watching the Baltimore Orioles, late 60s, 70s, and all the ideas that Billy Beane espouses now were being espoused by smart people back then. They just didn't take it out to the 18th decimal point. That's the difference. Is now you can make it sound. Now you can say, oh, we care about on-base percentage, and then you can come up with these 18 formulas that prove how much you love on-base percentage. In the old days, you just had guys going, yeah, I like guys who get on base. And they left it at that. Same thing.
Right.
It just doesn't sound as cool.
Right. And it's, again, not as wonky.
Yeah.
They put in math.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch. So on this point, that's why I don't watch the Newsroom. I don't know if you watch the Newsroom either.
I haven't watched it yet.
Even though I love Aaron Sorkin, I can't watch it because I kind of study journalism.
Right.
And I feel like it would just be way too that's not how it is. It's like in movies when it's like like the young woman working for a magazine and the person's like, have your story done in 3 days. I'm like, okay, first of all, that's not how a magazine works. You're giving it months in advance,
Right.
but it's like.
And that was again where The Wire absolutely nailed it. And I know it's become a cliche to praise The Wire, but I don't care.
No, it's good. It was so well done.
But
You can.
All the characters in that newsroom, both the good guys and the bad guys and the good girls and the bad girls, nailed every one of them. I've met every one of those people in the business.
Wow.
That's cool.
And again, though, that's because Simon had the experience, and he was. I mean, what else? He did the Louisiana show too, or the New Orleans show too, didn't he?
Yes, Treme.
Yeah. And what was his background? How did he do that? Did he live there too, and had some? He had some kind of music inside too, I thought.
He did. I'll have to look. I'd have to look that up. I don't have it off the top of my
radio or
head.
something.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, radio. If you ever try to see that on a movie, they never get that right either.
No.
I mean, they don't have headphones on and they're talking to callers and it's like it's like how, obviously this person's never been in the studio.
Right.
Well, it's probably doctors feel that way about medical shows. They're
Oh,
like,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Anything and detective shows and stuff. Oh my God, that would drive you nuts.
Okay, we'll go into TV for Golden Globes. We got Best TV Comedy or Musical, Girls, Jane the Virgin, Orange is the New Black. I don't know why that's blue. This is this year.
Ironic.
Yeah. Silicon Valley, Transparent, Best TV Drama, The Affair, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, The Good Wife, and House of Cards.
Did you notice she said Downton Abbey correctly?
She did. I'm very proud.
I'm a fan.
So am I.
Oh, are you? Okay. See, that's a show I couldn't get into that one. That was
I like
don't know
it
if
a
it's
lot.
too dry or if I just haven't given it enough of a shot.
The dryness is the whole point.
Right. Well, that's British, right? I mean, that's what they do. That's what the Brits do. So okay, let's now, Jim. We're into your world a little bit now because we're in TV. Have you seen any of the shows that she just listed besides Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones. Now, my favorite. They're not listing my favorite show.
Which is that?
Maybe my favorite show of all time.
Oh.
See, I think The Wire is the best executed show I've ever seen in my life, but Justified is my favorite show.
Really? That's
I
FX,
love
right?
Justified.
Okay, I have not watched that yet.
Really?
And it's based on an Elmore Leonard short story, and Elmore Leonard has always been one of my favorite authors. Just the writing, the dialogue, the sense of place. It's in Kentucky. It's something you see places that you've never. It's not like every show that's on the streets of New York, or every show that's on the streets of LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely unique sense of place, a completely unique sense of culture and character. And it's brilliant.
How many seasons are they into that now?
Like 5 or 6 now.
Okay, they have
so
gone
it's
that
doing
far.
well.
It's incredible.
Well, and I love FX. FX and HBO and AMC. I mean, are all doing big things when it comes to TV.
And I love Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones took me a long time to get into it. I watched it almost out of obligation for a long time, and then it really kind of hooked me. And Peter Dinklage, I don't know why he doesn't win every award he's eligible for.
We've all seen Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get okay.
I mean,
So,
Game of Thrones,
this fits into the whole how different characters every year, though. I mean, I've never seen a show where in the last episode of the first season you kill the most important character. I've never seen that. I was so thrown. Well, actually, no. Hold on.
What season are we talking about?
I don't want to tell anybody they haven't seen it, but there's another show that HBO kind of did the same thing.
Okay.
But I didn't think they'd be able to recover from it. Almost, I kind of went, where do you go now?
What are you talking about though? What season?
Game of Thrones, with the first season with the
King.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not the king. It's the king's hand.
Oh, the king's hand.
But why can't I think of his name? All the
Ned Stark.
Stark. Thank you. Yes, Ned Stark. So I thought that was crazy, and I think that show is awesome, and I do love that they can keep killing people and it doesn't matter.
It's almost the point of the show is that nobody's safe.
Yeah,
it really is.
Can you imagine being an actor on that show and not having read the books? Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, right. There's only 2 people I don't want to die though, and that's Peter Dinklage's character. What is his name? You guys, we got it. It's been
we
too
really
long.
gotta get better with our names.
Well, it's been a while since it ended.
has.
It ended in April.
Well, yeah, the new season's already coming back in February or something?
Oh no, maybe it started in April. Yeah, it's coming back. I don't know when. And Khaleesi. I just want Khaleesi to live because she's a badass.
She's going to live forever, actually, I think. I think the worse you are on that show, the better or longer you'll last. I mean,
the
by
worse,
worse, like evil, like.
You think Khaleesi's evil?
Khaleesi?
Yeah, the blonde one with the dragon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the evil incesting queen.
Oh no, that
sorry.
bitch,
yeah,
that
no,
bitch is
Khaleesi.
gonna die. Don't
Khaleesi.
I am bad with names on that show.
Yeah,
I've
it's
watched
hard.
every episode and I'm blanking on all
Yeah,
the
the names are hard. But, Khaleesi, no, I love her. I love that character. That's the one problem with Game of Thrones is that there is too much going on. So I mean, how many minutes was she even on screen in the last season?
Right,
Probably
she was in
like 30 out of 10 episodes.
Maybe.
So
that.
I don't like that. Silicon Valley is another HBO one that I haven't heard anyone talk about, but it's actually very funny.
Yeah,
have either one of you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
No, that's I do love when they make comedies on HBO because they're 24 minutes long. I mean, you can just fly right through them. But that one was
Just
great.
like Veep.
I love
I
Veep.
couldn't get into Veep.
I
You
like
couldn't?
it.
I love it.
I like it, but I haven't found it addictive. I just watch it if it happens to be on.
Well, and don't they keep winning
Yeah.
awards? I feel
Well,
like Veep, not obviously. Veep.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus has been winning
her
for
that's winning?
her.
Okay.
I mean, she is so fun. Like she's the show on that. She's like it's one of those shows
Yeah.
where like
It's all
everyone
her.
else is kind of funny and like self-deprecating and like just total assholes. Like the thing about that show is no one is likable on that show. And so I don't know if
Right.
that's why it's not addicting because you're not really rooting for anybody, but
Right.
it still has this dry sense of humor where it's funny enough where you want to keep watching it.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's entertaining, but it's not addictive. It doesn't pull you in. I don't think.
Yeah.
So when Boardwalk Empire became that for me, in that there was no protagonist. So once I didn't have anybody to cheer for, I kind of even last night I mentioned how in The Sopranos I'm still cheering for Tony Soprano even though he's a mob boss and he's an evil, horrible human being. But in Boardwalk Empire, after season 1, they just we don't need one, and they went 5 more years without a protagonist.
And
I don't understand how they did that.
It's not Steve Buscemi's character.
Well, he's the
would
lead.
be, I guess. He's the
Okay.
lead character.
He is the
but-
protagonist, but he's not. There's just nothing redeeming about
No,
it.
you're never rooting
No.
for him to go for anything to go well for him.
No.
It's not.
And honestly, that was definitely a show I watched more out of obligation than enjoyment. I felt like because it was well done, it was well executed, and yet never to me very rewarding. I never felt like good. I'm glad I watched. I was like, okay, they kind of pulled that off. It was to me, it was almost clinical to watch. Whereas like the best shows, you get pulled in, and you do care whether you should or not.
Right.
Yep. No, and that's where That's what Sons of Anarchy became for me. It became where I've given this show 5 years. I'll give it 2 more because I have to.
Right.
But it wasn't because I thought the show was still great. But should we sneak in a break quick here? We still got a promo we got to run in there. Yeah, why don't you
the TV
get your
still.
hands off the damn computer? Real quick, we'll take a break and we'll be right back with Jim Souhan. We're live at O'Gara's on the Minnesota Pubcast.
I came to tell you something is coming.
Exodus, Gods and Kings is getting poor reviews. The big-budget biblical reboot about the story of Moses is directed by Gladiator's Ridley Scott. Christian Bale plays Moses, and he had one main commandment for doing this project.
No matter how many films you've done, it never stops being so much bloody fun riding on a horse, slashing through people, having some fights. You know, I mean, that's straight back to being 8 years old.
Comedian Chris Rock's movies typically get poor reviews, but his new movie, Top 5, is getting the best reviews of his Hollywood career.
Do you think the wedding is hurting me? Listen, Andre, the wedding is the best thing that you got going right now. If this thing flops, we could be talking Dancing with the Stars, man. Dancing with the Stars? That's where you're at right now.
Chris not only stars, he directed and wrote the film, and rewrote the film, and rewrote the film.
Dude, who knows, 100 drafts? I mean, even when you're editing, it's kind of rewriting.
Exodus, Gods and Kings, and Chris Rock's Top 5 are at theaters around town this weekend.
All right, there we are. Jesus. Hi, welcome back. Minnesota Pubcast, O'Gara's special guest. Well, just guest now. He's not special anymore. Jim Souhan is with us. Talking movies, talking TV, talking the Golden Globes nominations. I'm
trying to see if there's anything that's missing this year. Like, okay, so
snubs.
Again, comedy, Girls, Jane the Virgin, Orange is the New Black, Silicon Valley, Transparent. I haven't seen Transparent. I haven't seen Silicon Valley. Orange is the New Black did not interest me whatsoever.
House of Cards is very good.
House of Cards, and that's in the drama category. So they split it up.
But I'm trying to think of what's really missing. Mad Men wasn't nominated this year.
No, Justified might have had one of its weaker seasons. I still loved it, but I could see critics not being as in love with it. So
have they won any awards? I don't feel like I've heard
so.
of them winning anything.
Which is ridiculous.
Is FX looked down upon a little though? I don't know
why they would be. They do great shows.
Yeah, they do. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I'm just looking at these other ones. The other ones that are on here for.
I'll take another hot dish.
Oh, nice.
Well, can I get a glass of water, please? Thank you.
The other ones that are on here that are nominated for different awards, not best drama. The Nick. I don't know if you've seen that with Clive Owen.
I've heard Dr. Drew actually talk about how great The Nick is, but I've never.
Do you like Dr. Drew?
Well, I like Corolla, so I hear Dr. Drew.
I know. I
kind
of like Dr. Drew.
I have nothing against Dr. Drew.
I don't know. He's kind of one of those guys a lot of people don't like. I kind of like him. I don't know.
I don't find him unlikable. I just don't trust him.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You think he's skeevy?
I think he's just. I don't trust doctors who, instead of, you get into the medical profession and then you kind of give out generic advice to millions.
Sure.
It doesn't really work for me.
Sure.
It's a really good way to make money, though.
It's a great way to make money, which is exactly why I don't trust him.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
But he's on Celebrity Rehab.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Then he's fine.
Actually, I've read stories quoting psychologists and doctors talking about Dr. Drew, and they're like, this guy is not helping anybody.
God.
He is not. He is doing the opposite of helping these people.
Well, it's dangerous to give that kind of advice, blanket advice, to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, especially drug users and teenagers. And it is a dangerous job.
Mental illness and things like that. There's not a blanket answer.
Very entertaining to listen to, though, too. I do remember listening to Loveline as a teenager. I mean, that was very entertaining radio.
It was. Okay, we got the Girls, Nurse Jackie, Veep, Jane the Virgin, Orange is the New Black for Best Actress. I'm guessing you guys don't watch Girls.
I tried.
I tried. It just didn't do it for me.
Nope. I just couldn't get into it, and I have a couple of buddies that I worked with that were telling me about how great it was.
Your buddies liked it?
Yeah, I have guy friends that dug it. I just can't do it.
I just can't even imagine. I love it, but I'm also how old am I? 26, and I'm a woman that is,
kind of right up your
struggling
alley.
through life.
Yeah. How old? They're 30s though, right? They're like mid 30s or
they're
lower 30s.
They're late.
Are they late
20s?
20s? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
they're right. I know, but that's the reason why I don't want to like it. Just like I don't want to like Lena Dunham because I always just like push a little bit. I shouldn't really like Taylor Swift, but I really like Taylor Swift.
I have something against chicks that aren't very attractive wanting to be nude in front of me all the time.
Oh,
That's not
Jason.
and that's just honest. I'm just sorry. I don't want to see you naked. Stop.
Who
like,
else
put it
besides
away.
Lena Dunham does that?
Just
very
her,
often?
but it's enough that it's she's just a turnoff. She's absolutely disgusting to me. Maybe that's why I don't like the show. I
think we just hit on it. Yeah.
That might have something to do with it.
I don't think we need to call any expert witnesses in. I think we have it.
Don't need anybody else to testify on that one.
She's just celebrating women's bodies, Jalen.
Well,
the good and the bad.
Somewhere else. Let's make Jim feel really awkward. Let's talk about technology and dating, and this will be right up Jim's alley. I'm sure, Jim, you have a Tinder account, right? I'm sure. Oh wait, you're engaged or something, aren't you?
I am engaged, and I've never used Tinder.
Are you familiar with what it is?
I understand it. Yes, thank you.
And can you imagine, you're being my age or a little younger than me, or being Molly's age, 20s, early 30s, and having that available to you? Can you even just imagine what life would have been like?
See, to me, it just makes a lot of sense. Because think about it. I have been single at certain points in my life, and what are your options for meeting people? Okay, you go to a bar and hope that the perfect person just happens to walk into the same bar on the same night at the same time and is available. That doesn't make much sense. A lot of luck involved there, yeah. Doesn't make much sense. Tinder at least makes some sense to me.
Well, everybody's on the same page.
You broaden the field. Everybody understands the rules. I'm sure there are some ways it can be abused, but so can everything. It kind of makes sense to me.
Interesting. I thought maybe you might just hate the entire idea. I don't know.
No,
it's not like you're old. It's not like you're 70, so it's not like you're in a totally different generation. But I just thought maybe, you're a little older to the point where it might have been different.
Actually, it just seems very logical.
Okay.
It's a little superficial, though.
Oh, of course it is.
It's completely superficial.
But
it's based on looks only,
isn't judging somebody by their appearance when they walk in the bar also superficial?
Exactly.
Sure.
Well, what do you mean, sure? Of course it is.
No, it totally is. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of, the difference between Match.com and Tinder and things like that, where Match.com, you're kind of getting this whole overview of somebody, where you're getting more a sense of who they are, whereas Tinder, it's like, there's your face. Either I like it or I don't.
And the big difference, though, between Tinder and Match is Match, you're invested. Tinder, it doesn't cost you a thing.
That's
doesn't matter if you do or don't like the girl, talk to her, don't talk to her. And on Match, now we're all invested. Now we're paying money for this. So now we feel like we owe ourselves something, even if it doesn't work out or whatever. So that's the difference between Match, and that's what I like about Tinder, actually, that it is such a joke. Nobody gives a shit.
No, that's true. Nobody gives a shit. That's the other thing. You don't know whether they're in it for the same reasons that you're in it for.
Bit of advice: don't get on Tinder for a serious relationship. It might happen, but I wouldn't that's. And did you back in the day go to the bar to find a serious relationship either? No, it's a hookup.
Well,
maybe a hookup even leads to that, but
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
So where do you meet people?
I think you just went to the bar to meet people for whatever purpose. You might part of your brain might be thinking long term, and part of your brain might be thinking somebody I'd have fun with for a short term.
Sure. Well, that could quite literally come down to just how much booze you had that night.
Too.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the article we are referring to is at NPR. It says, "Want to perk up your love life? Put away that smartphone." 70% of women in a recent survey said smartphones were interfering in their romantic relationship.
How?
Called technoference. That ranges from picking up the phone while partners are casually hanging out to checking Facebook while in the middle of an argument.
I would do that, by the way.
You would in the middle of an argument?
If my phone lights up, I have to check it. That's why this thing, I should throw it away whenever I'm in like right now doing a podcast. I should not ever have it near me because it will distract me, and I do have to check it.
Okay, so they said they reported that of the 5 scenarios presented to them, the most common interference was seeing a partner pick up his phone during a couple leisure time. I like that, couple leisure time.
That's what every couple calls it.
What's that, couple leisure time? With 62% of women reporting this happened at least once a day, and then men would get distracted by the TV during a conversation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but
what'd you say?
The biggest one is there's TV.
Did you not even catch that? Come on.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I was distracted.
Okay. God. And of course, I'm just going to repeat myself. Can't you hear me?
Don't worry, the listeners were too.
Okay, but the biggest thing that happens above all technology is mobile phones. And I completely agree with this. I have the worst anxiety when it comes to relationships and cell phones. The worst.
What does that mean to you? What do you mean?
Oh my God.
Are you worried about the guy and his cell phone? Or are you worried about yours? What do you mean?
Both. I'm worried about both. I'm worried about it all, Jason. I hate it. I hate it. It's horrid. It's like they keep adding these new features every single time the new iPhone things come out, where you can see like who they're texting and who they're talking to most recently and who their favorite people are and blah 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 blah, and it's like non-stop just information of other people in other people's lives, and I can't stand it. I just want face to face.
Are you talking about some kind of software like where you can go in and find keystrokes later on? Like, are you saying that you can download an app that can tell you what the guy's phone is up to, or what do you mean?
Okay, so first, I'll give the most recent example. So first it was you could see if someone's read your message or not. Mm-hmm. That one was...
Get rid of that immediately. I got rid of that right away.
That sucked. Like, I don't want to know if you're ignoring me or not. Like, I don't want to know.
Jim, do you have an iPhone? Do you have it on where they can tell if you've read their message or not?
I have no idea.
Wait, maybe I can. I don't think I've texted. Did I text you today?
I don't know.
I don't think you do.
You don't have it on.
I know I don't have it on. No, hell no.
I must not have it on. I don't want to know.
You do not have it.
I don't think I have it on either, right?
No, you don't either.
Okay, good.
And I don't want to know, and I don't want you to know either.
Okay, this other thing that's bothering me is now when you double click on your home screen, it brings up your recents and it brings up your favorites, and I can always see like the names of who that is, and I don't want to know the names. I don't want to know the names. I don't want to know who you're talking to. I don't want to know who you're texting, because I'm wondering why are you texting them?
When you're in a relationship, are you checking his phone?
No, absolutely not. But there are times where I'm like next to them and it's like, oh, there it is, and then I start questioning myself. I hate it.
Jim, are you watching the gal's cell phone when she gets a text message, or are you going, hey, who's Steve?
No.
I try not to be a snoop. I try not to be a snoop. That's the point. It's too hard not to be a snoop. It's too hard.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's too hard.
I don't
you
think
can
I
see
find
everything.
myself snooping.
I don't either, but it comes up.
It just happens, Jason. It just happens.
It's just next thing I know, I'm 10 messages deep in his cell phone.
I do think women. No. I do think women are more curious in that way.
Is it because they're less trusting?
I think women thirst for more knowledge about relationships.
Yes.
And I think here's what it is too.
For a guy, listen, better or worse, we are simpler when it comes to a lot of things. And I think a guy is like, okay, things are going good. I'm not worried about anything. And then if things go bad, you worry about it obsessively.
Sure.
I'm not sure there's much in the middle. I think women just want to know more stuff.
Well, and I think that women want to know more stuff too, because if their girl or if their boyfriend is talking to some other girl, text, whatever, that would bother them. But and it would bother a guy, but not to the same level at all. Like if I found out my girlfriend's texting another guy, I'd be like, oh, why are you doing that? That's stupid. But it's not. If a guy does it, it's almost like he's cheating. Like it's damn near as close to physical. But the guys, we only care, and not only. I mean, and I'm being very. I'm using very broad terms, but I would say that in general, guys really only care about the physical. They don't really care about whether or not you have a mental relationship with another guy, and it's vice versa. It's worse to a girl if you're just talking to another girl.
No, I don't care. That's the thing. I want the person to be able to feel like they can have girlfriends, they can go and they can talk to girls, and they have different friends for different reasons, right? My thing is...
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I swear I do. I have so many guy friends. We've talked about this before. I have so many male friends. I hang out with a lot of dudes. And boyfriends hang out with a lot of girls. And that is fine with me. It's when I don't know who the person is or why they're talking to them and what their relationship is like. Like when I haven't met the person, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's kind of that like, okay, I trust them, but who is that? Why are they talking to them, and in what sense is this all going on? And that is like, to me, that's so much easier with iPhones now. It's just like, it's like an information overload from everything from like Instagram to Twitter to Facebook to most recent to text. It's so much communication between so many people. There's just so many reasons to worry.
So I just trust them. You just don't trust them.
I thought you were just going to leave that at don't, which you could have. Yeah. There's no trust there at all whatsoever, actually.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'm in a fragile state at 26, you guys.
I think it's also dangerous though, because you do have a bunch of guy friends. Now, for a guy, it's very different, but as a girl, all right, let me ask you this: how many of your guy friends that you consider good friends would you possibly take to another level other than friend? Give me a percentage. I don't want you to name names, but is there a percentage of guys of them where you go, yeah, I might date them too?
No. I mean,
none?
Like maybe no. 10%.
we just went from none to 10%. That's a significant difference.
Which means 20%.
Yes. So instead of 1 out of the 10 guys, we're talking 2 out of them.
Under the bus.
All right,
no,
so
I'm
2
really
of them
trying
are
to
definitely
think.
doable. All right.
But I know like my guy friends I know so well. I'm like, I don't want to date. There's nothing. I don't want to date you.
I go back to something Chris Rock always said.
Oh no.
And it was always, every woman he's known has kept a guy friend around, just in case. Just in case of emergency, you break glass, instant boyfriend.
I don't think that's the word he used.
He used it in terms that I probably won't use, even on a podcast with women present. But yeah, it's a just break glass situation.
And guys don't have that. It's the girls we're trying to get with anyway. Like the only girls that we're friends with, and this is again is a generalization. I have girlfriends that I'm not necessarily trying to nail, but for the most part, okay. I mean, we can go. We'll flip yours. You go 90%. 90% of the girls
sleep
that
with them or date them?
I would sleep. Well, sleep with 90%. Date, I don't know, 80. I mean, we'll bring it down a little.
I don't want to know who the one girl is.
I'm not telling anybody because half of them are listening right now. I'm not telling shit.
Uh-oh. See, you're raising anxieties. You're raising women's anxieties.
Or hopes.
I like more anxiety.
I don't know. I'll figure it out one day. And when phones are gone.
I'm as a male, I'm just distracted by any screen. Like the whole, like we're talking about the phone being the distraction or whatever. And I like how in the article though, I mean, if there's a TV in front of me and there's in the Wild are about to score, you can be telling me the most important thing about our relationship and I don't hear it. I mean, I can tune out like nobody else.
My last 2 podcasts were with Gary Loris, the lead singer of the Jayhawks, and Michael Russo, the Star Tribune hockey writer, and we both got into that topic. We hardly ever read books anymore. Just hard, and because there's always, not only is it a TV with 800 channels, and in my job there's always a game on somewhere, but there's always a movie or a TV series taped also, and there's the phone, and there's Facebook, and there are multiple jobs, and it's like my break used to be to go in a quiet room and read a book. Now my break is actually to go work out or take a walk to get away from screens.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't even think of, and I still read on like vacations and some flights, stuff like that, but very rarely do I actually just sit down with a book anymore and have what I guess you would call quiet time. It's always like multiple things going on.
Yeah, it's a lot happening.
Well, we're constantly stimulated. That is what it is.
Speak for yourself.
Well, the listeners right now may not be that stimulated, but no, I think that's the thing about that is that we always have a screen now because it's always attached to us, and I can't go. I mean, literally, I can't go 30 seconds without this thing attached to me.
Okay, so you don't ever give yourself time away from your phone.
Yeah, it's called sleep.
Okay, but during the day you don't ever. What if you're going through something that's kind of making you look at? I keep going back to anxiety because I'm a totally anxious person. Because when I'm feeling anxious about something, the first thing I do is I turn off my volume and I put this in a different room or in a bag, and that's like my.
That would make me anxious.
That would make you anxious.
I would think I'm missing out on something.
Okay, I'm trying to get better at this.
I'm so bad at that too. Where I haven't checked Facebook for 20 minutes. What did I miss? I know I didn't miss anything. Like, I'm aware of the fact that I don't need Twitter or Facebook in my life at all. But the second I take a break from them, I'm going, what's going on? What did I miss? I'm going to miss some news story that just came out, or some sporting event thing just happened, or some guy just broke a leg.
For me, I guess I have the excuse that, any 5 minutes a story could break that would change my schedule, change my life, change my plans.
Yeah, you might have to jump on a plane for some reason.
Or I might just have to go, crank a column out really quickly to make a deadline. So, but it's partly true. It's also partly an excuse because I think I have the mentality that I always want to know what's going on, and we have such easy access to what's going on that you can get in the cycle of just feeling like you have to check things every 5 minutes.
No, and that's especially with this podcast now. I mean, I feel that I've got I got a Tinder message.
You got a Tinder message.
2 of them. I'm doing well.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I feel that I'm not doing my job if I'm not constantly up to date, and especially you in the news business. I mean, literally, you're working for a newspaper. You're supposed to know what's going on. A side note, this is a quick question for you that just occurred to me. I would not. I would wonder if the question for you is whether or not it's ever tough to write a column anymore. And I don't mean whether or not it's hard to write a good one. I just mean, do you ever have times where you just really are like, I don't have anything to write right now? Does that even happen to you anymore?
Yes. Because there are days when there's no topic that really grabs you. And let's face it, I don't work on an island. I don't work in isolation. I have to write something that one of my colleagues didn't write the day before or isn't writing the same day. So it's not like I have. It seems to people that I have infinite choices, but I really don't. It's got to be the right day to write a column. It's got to be something that that another columnist hasn't written. It's got to be a fresh idea. It can't be a ripoff of what some guy in Chicago wrote. So it does kind of start narrowing the field. And then you think, okay, but I just wrote 2 Viking columns. I can't do another Viking column. Okay, the Wolves stink. They're not worth it. It's like, and there are days I wake up and I go, I have nothing to say, and I have to say something. And it's not a tragedy. It's like any other job. They pay you because it's not easy.
Oh, right. I've been in front of a microphone plenty of times going, wow, what are we going to do this time? What are we going to do this segment?
You got to come up with something. and those to me are the hard. I mean, a news breaks and you take a stand one way or the other and you explain your thoughts and you try to make it compelling. Those are the easy days for me. The hard days are when you wake up and you go, what the hell am I going to write today?
See, and I was wondering, I mean, you've been doing this for a long enough time and you're at a high enough skill level. I just wondered if you almost just had like a default thing you could just go in the back of your head and just go, I can pump this out. Like you almost just turn off, almost turn off and go on autopilot.
I hope I get there someday. But
when your bosses don't.
And the other thing about writing and especially column writing is you don't want it to be a default situation. You don't want to be, okay, it's Tuesday, I have nothing to write, I'm going to write this kind of column or this column. You want it to be something, to use an overused word, you want it to be something organic, something that you believe, something that you feel strongly about, something that you find interesting, and there isn't always that topic available, or there isn't always that topic readily available, and you have to go find it.
Or twist something into something that makes but that's cool too, because then you got to find an angle,
right?
And that's what makes a great journalist, is when you can find an angle and still make it interesting and make it fresh. So.
And the other thing is, it ain't like I would ever pretend that every column's great. It's not.
Oh, neither would us, the readers.
No, I know.
No,
believe
I'm
me.
kidding.
I'm serious. Though. I mean, there are days where you try to be really good, and there are days where you have to try to just to do the job.
I think we can relate as podcasters a bit, right?
I think so.
I mean, we're only
definitely.
on show 12, so I hope we haven't really run out of anything yet.
Oh, we
I
definitely
thought 6
haven't.
through 9 was a real lull for you.
Oh, wow. Those were our best times.
You got to check the numbers, Jim.
You're right.
6 through
You're
9
right.
are kicking ass.
Jim, thank you so much for coming on the
Thanks,
show
guys.
today.
It was fun.
This was super
thank you,
fun.
Jim. You're welcome to come back anytime you want, and hopefully we'll see you down here for some live band karaoke.
I'm trying to be here tomorrow night, but I definitely want to get the rhythm of coming down here because it is fun.
All right, and otherwise we'll come see your band too. I want to check that out.
Yeah, we hope to start playing sometime in January.
Souhan Unfiltered. People can find you on Twitter. You got 1 million followers. Whatever. Follow us. Follow Jason McGov Podcast.
I follow you guys.
Thank you. And MK Burke. And next week we have the best of show. So if you have anything that you want to share, best movie, best TV, best music, whatever, tweet at us.
Highlighting the year of 2014.
Facebook
the year that
us.
was.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.